In this one, we talk about some new mission types and features, including new Derelicts. Arena Commander is getting some love to tie in with some new mechanics, and Lorville is getting a rework that could blow us all away. Hello and welcome back to From the Verse. I'm Drake and this is your place for Star Citizen news in a warm, welcoming and of course, safe space. So we'll start off as usual with some patch notes, and it's again for 3.18's PTU. So the testing focus they are currently doing is on salvage, obviously hull scraping, the platform assault on Orison, which is the new PvE mission type. It's basically the bunkers but on Orison platforms, which is pretty cool. Security post Korea reactivation, courier delivery mission update, sandbox prison activities, which will be the new prison stuff and things that they're going to be doing. Work on the Drake Vulture, the new cave types, which are the sand caves that are coming soon. Daymar crash sites, Stanton racetrack locations, Greycat PTV racetrack, obviously work on that, even though it is quite fun. New rivers, there will be 40 new rivers on Herson and Microtech. Additional derelict outposts, which we'll touch on in this video as well. Restricted areas, which I'm not too sure about, but I'm looking forward to finding out what those bad boys are. And the Arena Commander quality of life updates, which we will also be going through in this video. So yeah, testing is still underway, and I know we're all dying to get our hands on 3.18 and onto the live branch, but I say let them test, let them take their time. I'd rather have a decent playable experience when it hits live than a shower of shit that needs multiple patches a day to make it playable. But that's just my 20 pence. Let me know what you think, if you do think differently, in the comments, and if you just want it to hit live as soon as frickin' possible. So about 10 days ago we had an Inside Star Citizen video about changes coming to Lorville. Now these changes are looking pretty damn good in my opinion, and as I understand it, it's a huge base for future stuff and things at locations like this. A while ago CIG were talking about interiors of buildings and creating more ways to play, and with Lorville changing, I'm hoping they can include some missions inside buildings, but that might be too much of an ask, at least at this point. But I feel it will bring a new dimension to these cities if we could enter more buildings and even have some missions to do inside of them. But now, I'm rambling on. So let's hear what the devs at CIG said about Lorville and take a quick peek at the not quite yet finished city.
Since the last time we talked about Lorville 2.0, a lot of things have changed. It has evolved. The key element that changed is the detail level of all the elements, and I explicitly like to mention the buildings. So there's details that really enhances the building believability. All the industrial outskirts really give the impression of a scale of the city. It will be iconic. We're adding more landing pads, especially on the building rooftops. They create opportunities for gameplay, for pickup missions, and for the future of building interiors as well, or just simple mission types of stuff to do on the rooftops. The city is quite expanded, so it's extending much further in terms of like the industrial areas that we're adding to the outreach of the city, the outskirts. They feel like they have a purpose. They have like quarries, they have like the pipelines, they have like industry or manufacturing. The lead up to the city, it feels functional. There's like smokestacks, activity going on with cranes, and it makes like a fun layout. It's still something we're tweaking and working on because we really want to make those work like key shots basically for those vistas. Travel through the city is not changing other than the fact that the transit to the gates will be a bit extended, but the view from the transit will be a lot different in a good way, less repeated. You feel more like you're in a real city, and we'll take like a special care along like the path of the train. The key to changing Lorville is the opportunity to have like a whole city built to scale so that we can fly in and there's no zones that are blocked to the player. Different viewpoints throughout the city where we can land, and it's preparing also the ground for the future updates.
I don't know about you guys, but that to me is looking rather frickin' tasty. And like we said, future developments here could include indoor missions and new ways to move around the city. I think they are onto a winner here. I'd like to see a mission involving stealth perhaps, where you have to steal some kind of crypto key from a corporate skyscraper. That would tick a few boxes for me, that's for sure. Now let's touch briefly on Derelicts. And you've probably already seen the MSR and 600i Derelicts, that is in 318's PTU. I visited there and died numerous times, numerous different ways, but CIG are looking to advance on derelict outposts. And here's how.
Derelicts are important because it's adding content, enriching the experience for the player. It's like telling a story as well as the actual piece of a derelict that's there.
The first aegis of the derelict crash site is the fire one. That's it's when the ship just crashed, it's still on fire, we still have power in it, we still have sparks. The second age is crash. So that's the ship is crashed there, but maybe just a week after that. So no fire, no smoke anymore, no power inside the ship, no sparks. The third age is the biome, it's overgrown. It's when the biome just takes its place back. We're going to have more sand on it, we have more dirt, we have grass, going to have leaves and vine growing up on it.
The fourth version is the paint's been worn off. It's been in the sun for an extended period of time. It's scratched up. It's a lot of rust. It's been overgrown. It's been scavenged. People have visited the ship, and it's missing pieces, panels. So a lot of wires are hanging. It's been used. It's been harvested basically. We're looking at a library of habs to create these little settlements.
We create those library because we want to reuse all those hubs on different ship and create the different stories and depth about why that ship is there and who is going to live around.
We have like interiors, we have some that is just for like sheltering from the sun and the harsh conditions of the planet. We have some that's just for sleeping. Ooh, there's some that have like little bars, little setups inside. People can eat, can meet up. Some other ones are just for like electricity generation. We have solar panels on some of them.
When people find those ships, they kind of salvage them, so they took part and kind of create some kind of habitation because they want to live around those crash sites to be able to protect themselves for the weather.
These little mini camps, basically, that people can go and explore.
So the idea was to finish our library in the last years. So now with the next mandate, with the next Derelict crash, we'll be able to create all those shantytowns everywhere on different planets. So that will bring more gameplay and more opportunity to the player to just go around and visit them.
So there's a huge amount of visual changes and additions coming, hopefully this year for Star Citizen. But with all these new locations and the implementation of salvaging and such, what plans are there for new mission types and gameplay? Well, Star Citizen Live was all about that this week, and they discussed how they create and implement mission types, as well as briefly talking about the tech and modules that they have behind them. Here's some snippets about what's coming in the way of new mission types.
Let's talk about plans for the future. I want specific dates.
Oh no!
And what's next for the mission feature? We know investigations are in the mix.
Yes.
Somewhere developing investigations. Let's just follow up on that real quick. How's that going?
Yeah, it's going well. We're still at the stage where we're working very closely with narrative. because they might be making a story and it might have a certain scenario in it that I've not considered on the system side that I have to like go reconsider. For example, one of the stories that Adam, one of the narrative people, had made up, he just added a little note. Is like set dressing. There are 2 like cocktail glasses on the side of the pool, and I'm like, I didn't think about spawning set dressing. I should probably spawn set dressing. So then I have to update the thing, but that's all part of the iteration. That's why it's good to get the stories first, because then I know, right, my system will achieve everything here. So yeah, investigation's going well.
Cool. What else are you guys working on?
Salvage missions at the moment.
Salvage missions.
So yeah, we wanted a way to kind of show the new salvage mechanic. So yeah, I'm currently working on some different legalities and versions.
Go over the 3 of them.
Sure. So there's a legal version where we have a new company that's being made. I'm not sure if I can call it that. It's called Adagio, and they're literally just salvage contracts. So they have a bunch of salvage, and they sell you the rights to a piece of salvage. Like, you pay us like X amount of credits or UEC, and then like that's like, here's your lot number. You can go get it there, and then you fly over, and then it's yours to keep. And it's kind of in the safe area of at this point, like a Lagrange point, where they kind of towed it there. And then there's the illegal version where basically an illegal corporation, a new one called the Tar Pits, they're like, well, they hear about salvage, and they're like, well, you can go there, but we know that security forces are going there to investigate what happened. You have an hour. Good luck. And then you basically have to race there, and once you're there, like, you have an hour, you have a timer on screen, and if you're staying there too long, well, then all of a sudden, like, you know, fighters come in, or like other investigative forces, and if you're in a vulture, for example, well, that is not really good at combat. And we're actually trying to get a mission giver, which I won't spoil who it is, so have fun trying to discover that. But a new mission giver, we're gonna give him or her some love, and they're gonna actually do a kind of a mini rush where it's like, well, there's been a massive battle somewhere in the middle of space. There's a lot of money to be made, but it's an open contract, so here you go. But you might find people, and then we're really trying to have emergent gameplay, community focus. So it could be 3 vultures that are like all happily salvaging away, and then an org is like, yeah, this is our salvage now. And they come in with like a reclaimer and like a whole combat suite. It's like, okay, kids, move aside. This is ours now.
What about you, James? What's in your feature?
I think at the moment mine's top secret until it gets a bit of a director sign off. But I'm still keeping an eye on time trials as well. The big thing for us at the moment is there's a lot of data coming in for our analytics. So everyone keep playing them, because we need that data. We really need that data. So we can make the platinums harder. We can see if people are crashing. We get all kinds of data from that, and which is the most popular ships. That all leads us into, helping us with our design decisions down the line. But that's what I'm maintaining at the minute.
Yep.
And what you had?
Well, I'm allowed to talk about that. We have planned a new dynamic event, which will be like classic racing. So it'll be like lap-based racing, and it'll be multiplayer. So time trials is single, you against the clock, whereas this will be like people together racing together.
A racing dynamic event.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And the plan is to have we'd have maybe 2 new ship tracks and maybe a ground race in there as a mix, and then we'd also limit it so that you'd have only a specific ship would be allowed to race on the race day. Yeah, and
you
what
guys are
else?
also working on.
Yeah,
there's mining missions to go along with the salvage missions.
The mining missions are what we're calling resource rush. Essentially, once again, we give you you're buying the rights to a location that's far out, and there's going to be like an asteroid cluster gas cloud thingy, and we spawn a bunch of minables in there, and essentially what it is that each player can buy the rights to go there, and then they have a finite amount of spawned resources that they have to mine. Now, we make the contract open, so it could be Salty Mike, but I don't think he'll last long. It could be Burks going in and everyone fighting.
In the monthly report, this will be the last thing we talk about before we let you go, there was some talk about researching defend your ship.
Oh yeah.
Missions.
It's not really missions. It's system. It's like it's probably what everyone's sort of been clamoring for. It's not mission. It's the right to sort of defend your ship. Which is probably what everyone really wants, right?
Yeah.
They want to be able to stand their ground in their ship. That's what that is.
And not get a crime stat.
And not to get a crime stat.
So
That's
it's not
what
mission goes into us building other stuff. You know, we don't just make missions.
Absolutely.
Me, Ed, and Luke are also looking at a system and trying to improve the lore aspect of that someone, you know, might not have the right to defend the ship from an intruder or someone who's on board. It's like, well, I can't legally kill him because he's not got a crime stat, but it's like, you've not given permission to be there. So it's systems like that, and we work on a lot of those as well.
So yes, we will be getting missions around salvaging, racing, mining, and we'll also be seeing these investigation missions coming soon too, where you can pretend to be some kind of space-themed Sherlock Holmes. And I'm looking forward to these investigation missions, as they'll have you finding clues and traveling to different locations off the back of those clues and attempting to find the truth. And that, to me, is kind of cool. And last up, we talk about Arena Commander. This, in my opinion, doesn't get used as much as it should by people, but there are reasons for that. And it's because it's showing its age somewhat. But CIG have decided it's now time to fix this.
So I talked about two sort of core gameplay elements. I talked about sort of the flight and fight, and then I talked about FPS. But what I haven't really addressed is racing, which is flight, period.
Racing is a dangerous sport, especially when you've got 6 degrees of freedom, you're flying around a hunk of a ship, you're probably going to die. So to perfect your skills, you need to do it in Arena Commander.
Our race mode in Arena Commander is one of those modules that were kind of built in the early days when I started working here. And a lot of the core infrastructure is roughly the same of what we had originally.
So the New Horizon maps, they've been in since the implementation of racing, and they've been pretty much untouched. There's been some bug fixes, some quality of life improvements.
Right now I'm working on is taking racetrack from the PU and transferring them into the Arena Commander. So what I do is basically, with the PU getting racetrack, I would take those racetracks, and with the new race refactor that we have, I can transfer them into the Arena Commander.
Whatever you see in PU is what you see in AC. So whenever we make improvements to things like the actual track that you see in PU, we get the benefits of those improvements. The big benefit is, though, that since they are equal, you get to practice in AC the skills that it takes to become a quick racer and really excel at those tracks without the consequences of like permanent death.
So we can do that for racing, we can do that for FPS combat, we can do that for dogfighting locations like Jericho Station, which will also be coming with this patch.
Now, there was some inspiration that was brought definitely from the community, and you know, myself and Duncan had seen a lot of the messaging that was out there. There was a super active community within racing, and they were basically setting up all the new structure for themselves. And it always seemed to me like a very obvious thing that we could do to support this was to be able to bring PU level type content and tracks into Arena Commander to fulfill that content. And since the time that we had made racing so many years ago, we've since gotten planets, we've since gotten atmospheric flight, we've gotten a bunch of different flight modes. So racing needs to keep up with basically the rest of the game. To make it relevant to everything that's going on within the Persistent Universe, we need to bring Persistent Universe locations, especially great racetracks that the community has come up with, that we have come up with, into Arena Commander itself, so that we can deliver that to you in a more concise 30-minute session that you could do that practice with, but it be completely relevant to the larger existence of the Persistent Universe.
Overall, I'm so happy with the progress the Arena Commander team has made. We went from the very small team with a lot of passion, and we've got a pretty solid plan here on how we can revitalize Arena Commander throughout this year. We're going to be committed to improving Arena Commander throughout the year, throughout the next year. We're targeting 12 new racetracks, including the 3 you're familiar with from the New Horizon Speedway. We are adding a new dogfighting map, Jericho Station, and we are targeting a lot of quality of life improvements, reworks to some vital systems that you might not see changes on the surface, but they are vital behind the scenes for us to make more changes throughout this year.
So now you've seen what the Arena Commander feature team is up to, and we thought it was important that we came to the community and talked about our plans a little bit. Now, I've learned my lesson. I'm not about to give, for out there dates or too much expectation in place, but we did want you to know what the plans are and that we are actively working on it right now. So you can expect that, you'll see some great updates. And one really important thing that we've actually put in place as well is that we've discussed with our release planners. We've now got a separate patch notes for Arena Commander. So Arena Commander is going to be reported just a little bit alongside Star Citizen, but not embedded within the patch notes, so that it's a little bit easier for you guys to see exactly what's happened with the Arena Commander patch to patch. Because though we've talked about some specifics in this, there's lots of little things that, aren't worth necessarily talking about on video, but bugs that are fixed that, hey, maybe bothered people for years that have been addressed since then. So we're really happy to be able to talk to you guys about what's going on with Arena Commander feature team, and look forward to the rest of the year.
So it's a small team, but with some great ambitions and what looks to be some genuine enthusiasm from the staff. So moving forward, Arena Commander could well be the place to go to practice your flight skills, be it in dogfights or racing. And I believe they're working on a way to create private lobbies so you can set things up just how you like and play with your buddies. The first-person shooter element of Star Citizen, named Star Marine, will be incorporated under a whole new user interface with the Arena Commander in an attempt to bring more people into that side of it as well. And that's it from the Verse. Thank you for watching as always. On a side note, this month I will be live streaming here on YouTube and possibly on Twitch for the Great Ormond Street Hospital Children's Charity. There will be a link in the description if you want to throw in a few quid for this great charity. They help sick children with rare diseases to get the help that they need, and I'll throw up a QR code somewhere that you can scan and donate that way too if it decides it wants to work. And if you do donate, then my thanks goes out to you, and you may have helped some poor kid actually get the life that they deserve. So feel free to pop into my streams and say hello, or mock me for my gigantic schnoz, either or really. And of course, don't forget to give the video a like and consider subscribing for more from me. Have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you in the next one.